Brought to you by eBay Seller Capital, empowering your business growth with flexible financing solutions tailored specifically for eBay sellers. Discover new opportunities and expand your business today at ebay.com/seller capital.
I'm Inc. Executive Editor Diana Ransom.
And I'm Editor-at-Large Christine Lagorio-Chafkin.
This is From the Ground Up.
Today's episode, how cult brands captured the imaginations and wallets of female consumers.
So this is a new format from us at From the Ground Up, which we'll be doing about once a month, where we talk to an Inc. reporter about their latest feature. But first, Christine, what's going on in the world of Inc. media?
Yeah, we are getting ready to host our Inc. 5000 annual gala and conference in Palm Desert, California. It's in the middle of October, October 16th through 18th. It is sort of our annual celebration of some of the most respected entrepreneurs in the business and the founders of the fastest growing companies.
It's Entrepreneur Prom.
Yeah, I mean, the gala is, right? It's excellent, and I'm excited to be on stage. I believe I will be interviewing Aisha Curry of Sweet July, and also on stage will be Ryan Reynolds. We've got dozens and dozens of excellent guests, but those are a couple highlights.
Oh, big names. Love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. If you want to get tickets or register, we will include a link to that in our show notes today.
Awesome. Thanks, Christine. So now let's talk about some cult brands. So we have Stanley, Kendra Scott, Bogg Bags. They've all really skyrocketed in popularity. Bogg Bags is a personal favorite. I had never heard of them. It was a company founded by a woman named Kim Vaccarella out of Lodi, New Jersey. Love Lodi. Landed on the Inc. 5000 this year and expects to book more than $100 million in revenue by the end of 2024. This very year. This exact year. And the Stanley stans are seriously engaged.
Oh, so have you seen some of these Stanley TikToks? People are so obsessed, and I kind of get why after seeing them.
I have not seen the Stanley TikToks, but that's only because I don't actually watch TikTok.
Okay, well, like on Instagram maybe? Okay, there's this one.
Yes, I am aware of the internet.
There's this one video where they're pouring over a scene after a car fire because there's a Stanley mug in the car that has survived this explosion in the vehicle. And when they open up the Stanley, the beverage is still cold.
Everybody's so concerned about if the Stanley spills. But what about if it melts? It was in a fire yesterday. It still has ice in it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so Diana, if you're not on TikTok, are you a super fan of anything? Do you have any brands you're obsessed with personally?
So no, I am actually not a fan of anything. Remember we had this.
I kind of knew this because I know that as journalists, we both have this kind of high level of skepticism toward things, and it prevents us from maybe developing that kind of fandom.
You're right. So you can empathize.
Yeah,
you're actually not a fan yourself.
Absolutely. Sure, I buy things. I'll buy a pair of shoes, but I would never, say that I'm a huge fan of it,
yeah.
you know?
I'm not going to walk around with the shirt of a brand.
Right.
Unless that shirt is really soft. It's not the brand itself.
At the same time, we love small companies, right? We love their stories. So this stuff is fascinating to us, even if we're not.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Super fans.
Absolutely. I think the world is fascinating. So clearly, I'm not the target market for these people. But, at the same time, I appreciate who they're trying to reach. And I think it's fascinating to watch the car fires and the all that good stuff. So we get into all of that in our conversation with Inc. Staff writer Ali Donaldson. So we talk about how people have become fanatics of these brands and how the brands have actually cultivated them into fanatics of their brands. We started out the conversation by talking about Stanley Cups and how they've actually not always been trendy.
I mean, it's an interesting story because if you think about water bottles, they've always been this sort of trendy item. I feel like I can measure my life by what was in vogue 20 years ago. It was the Nalgene, then we had, the Camelback, and then it was this more stainless steel bottles, the Hydro Flask, the Swell. And so
this is like
I still
the
have a
new
swell.
J. Alfred Prufrock. I'm not a life measured in coffee spoons, but in water bottles.
yeah. And so when the Stanley Quencher became a thing, when it really went viral, which was around like 2022, and it's this giant insulated tumbler cup, 40 ounces, a straw. It has a side handle. It's kind of designed to sit in your car's cup holder.
Mm-hmm.
And when it first went viral, like I kind of assumed like all of those other bottles that it would kind of lose that perch in that moment in the public consciousness, but it just kept sticking around. And so when I first wrote about them in 2023 last year, being a younger millennial, being pretty online, which I feel like is nature of being a journalist, I thought I was late to the story. But then after I wrote the story, it just wouldn't go away. I felt like every week someone in the newsroom was sending me a headline about Stanley. Or I was reading about Stanley. Like they have like an Olivia Rodrigo cup and it's like trending on Twitter. Like they were causing more mayhem in Target stores. It just felt like this trend that wouldn't go away. And in that way, it was a different sort of viral. It wasn't a blip.
Spending $100 on a Stanley Cup sounds insane. Now, did I do that? Unfortunately, I didn't. But was I sober? I was not. Come on, it's Olivia Rodrigo. These resellers really jack up that price. It was double the original one, but come on, if I didn't have this, that would just be crazy. I have not opened this, only seen pictures. You're lying, you're lying, you're lying. Oh, geez. I paid $500 for this. This is now the most perfect Stanley that I own, and I don't regret buying this. It would honestly make no sense if I didn't own this, and I am very happy with my purchase. Oh my God! Olivia Rodrigo, I love you.
I'm sorry. I've used a Stanley water cup, and
Yeah.
I don't really understand them. Your drink will spill if you put it in a bag,
Right.
which I think is actually a really important feature in a water bottle, that it won't spill.
I will say they have some other water bottles that you can kind of close like a traditional water bottle and like hold in a more normal way, but they're just not that really popular quencher, which, yes, I agree. I don't understand why children want to take these to school. It's
Okay,
like,
also, another thing, not to pick on Stanley too much, but I mean, they're also gigantic. Like, how does anyone
heavy.
carry these things?
Diana, this is a marker of your identity. It's not just a water bottle. This is what Ali's reporting has uncovered.
I will say,
It is not for me.
I will say to your point, not for you. I do think it would be designed if your life was more suburban. It does fit perfectly in that cup holder in a car. And so I think if you were someone that drove to work and then had to go drive to pick up your kids from school and we weren't in New York City and in Brooklyn, it would probably fit with your lifestyle much better. Because I think for a lot of people that are TikToking about it, that's what it is. It's that cup that sits in your car that's so big that you always have water in it and the ice stays for days.
Right.
Or through fires.
Yeah.
Right.
Being able to maintain the temperature is pretty key.
But I think what was so interesting about this, too, to like Christine's point, is there was a plan behind this. And this is a long-time company. It's more than 100 years old. And for a long time, it was known for these green thermoses. Like fighter pilots carried them in World War II. It was kind of known as sort of an item that, a guy would take to like a union job site, to a construction site.
Boaters, right?
Yeah.
Military, yeah.
I visualize it exactly as what you're explaining.
I mean, it's funny. The company told me they actually were in a lot of period pieces, which they were like realized this is not good. And so they had a full redesign, realizing that they had a product that was extremely male skew, and we're leaving out half the population of women. And so they just made some few changes in terms of saying, okay, let's have a different color palette. Let's have a lot of range of colors. Let's have a straw, a handle, and these sort of simple designs. And then it caught fire online. A few, influencers really liked it and talked about it on their own channels. And then it just really caught fire.
So speaking of the deliberate nature of it, did Stanley reach out to the influencers and then set it up that way? Or was it just sort of by happenstance?
The first one was by happenstance. It was this group of mom bloggers in Utah that the Buy Guide is what they're called. And they just review products on their own. Think of it as like a wire cutter for Utah moms. Like they would do this. And they just somehow, one of them found this product, and this was like all the way back in 2019, and really liked it. And they put it on their list of like why they liked this product. And so from there, they just really tapped into that online culture.
I needed my nails to match my new Stanley. And I also had to turn my Stanley into a Utah mom as well.
Time for photos!
So I'm kind of going back to your prior reporting here, but like also around 2019, as you're mentioning, like another brand was gaining a lot of steam, and that was Crocs, right? This other ugly, like improbable hit that just is absolutely everywhere now. And there is a link between Crocs and Stanley, Ali.
And you're right, there is a connection, and it's Terrence Riley, who he had been at Crocs starting in 2013. He rose to become the chief marketing officer. So it was under him that this ugly shoe that for a lot of people had been for gardening and around the house sort of shoe. I remember kids when I was at summer camp as a kid wore it like canoeing or like at the lake. But it became cool. And it became high fashion. It was at London Fashion Week. You know, celebrities were wearing this. So it was Terrence. It was a very similar marketing playbook that then in 2020, Stanley hired him as their president, and he left and took this same playbook to Stanley, which is really something that he learned, as he told me when I spoke to him for this story, was a sneakerhead mentality. He had come up through the ranks at Foot Action, which I had never heard of, but I guess it's a defunct shoe store.
Yeah, I remember it.
It
was in the mall.
Foot Action?
Wasn't it? Yeah, it was in the mall.
It was eventually bought by Foot Locker.
Sounds like a fetish site.
And it's that sneakerhead mentality of saying, we're going to have drops. We're going to have limited edition versions of this shoe. We're going to have a million colors of this same one product. And it creates a sense of freshness, but also that FOMO. You don't want to miss out, because if you don't buy it, then you're not going to have it. And as Terrence told me, it also, when you're an executive, when you're a CEO and entrepreneur, it has a lot of good business reasons too, because it's much cheaper to do things that way. You're never going to run the risk of over inventory when you order just a few thousand versions of something. And then you create a false scarcity model where people can't get your product. And ironically, as Terrence told me, that's the marketer's dream. When people cannot get your product and they are then posting online, I can't get this product.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like false scarcity, but it is scarcity. And they've manufactured that desire and that buzz then.
And that's a good way to say, I would say probably manufactured scarcity is probably a better word than false.
So what is it? I mean, obviously the drop and the, manufacturing of scarcity is a thing, but how did Stanley so successfully capture the female gaze? Like just by producing a water cup in different colors?
I mean, a few design changes really did help that. And finding these organic fans online that were already using the product and then using them to talk about why they liked it. It was almost the classic listen to your customers. Like, as he told me, it's like, find those fans. So as opposed to him saying, I'm a 50-year-old guy, here's why you should get this. Yeah. Like, here are women that are using it online. And that was something he used at Crocs as well. And like, he had told me this story when Crocs really became cool was because one of his young employees, her name was Toria Roth. At the time, she was just out of college. And she had been following Post Malone online. And at all of his concerts, he would wear Crocs because he's on stage for hours. And he talked about online that it's really comfortable. And so when you're jumping around on stage performing, that was his go-to shoe. And so she flagged this to her boss, to the chief marketing officer, and through them, they were able to reach out to Post Malone, and he did a full collaboration with him. And that was the start of the full celebrity collabs. So they had like Bad Bunny did one, like Justin Bieber did one. It became a thing.
Yeah, that collab and drop strategy, right? Brands use that all over the place. I wanted to talk to you about that concept. Like, it also is a little risky, right? I mean, is there a risk that the brands take every time and just watering down their identity?
Oh, there's totally a risk. And this was something when I was talking with Kendra Scott's CEO, Tom Nolan, about this.
Kendra Scott, the jewelry company.
Yes, the jewelry company. Yeah. It's based in Austin. I feel like it really took off. Like, I knew about it first in college. It was kind of doing trunk shows at a lot of sororities. They always had these colors that matched colleges for game days. And they've done a lot of good collaborations. They've done
a lot of TikToks for Rush Days.
Yes. And
Rush
so
weeks.
They've done like Love Shack Fancy with Target. But at the same time, there's a reason behind those choices. They really align with the brand and who's already using their products. And that was what he was telling me, is the risk is you can really water down your brand. He really told me, other executives, other CEOs, entrepreneurs, you have to resist that temptation to just slap your brand on any other partnership thinking that it'll build your audience, because at some point you water it down. And as you said, you see a lot of brands jump the shark.
Yeah, I don't actually understand why it would water the brand down. If you're collaborating with somebody who speaks also to a core audience that your brand does too, then how would that water down?
I guess it wouldn't water down as long as it made sense. I guess his point was if you know your audience and it's like mostly like a female audience, maybe you're not going to go have like men in Germany. You're going to try to figure out like something that makes sense for your audience.
No offense to men in Germany.
I was trying to find an oddly specific SKU.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I guess I see it as people, younger folks, especially today in America, at least, like their identities are so tied with their consumer choices. They feel strongly about these kind of purchases. And should a brand veer too much into things that are not within their taste, right? That creates kind of a dissonance there.
Well, I've heard this other kind of theory behind all of this is that we don't have any kind of like unifying through line anymore. Like we're not all listening to the top Billboard music.
No,
We're not even watching the same shows.
Monoculture is long gone.
Exactly. But we kind of do have this monoculture through these brands.
And almost through subcultures of monoculture, because I feel like all of these brands that I did in this story about cult brands, which I really focused on Stanley, the jewelry company, Kendra Scott, and Bogg Bag, which is...
All right,
we haven't even...
I know. I can't wait to talk about Bogg. Yes, let's talk about Bogg Bags. Tell us what it is.
The cult of Bogg. So it's funny, too. Terrence Riley, not involved with this company, but it's a crock bag,
But is it a crock bag? Like, does Croc make it?
No, I just joke. It's the same material. It's that EVA material, which is this polymer plastic type material. And so it looks a lot like a crock. It's plastic, it's perforated, but it's the vision of a female founder outside in New Jersey who just wanted to make a better beach bag. And was so sick of like, kind of the crappy ones you would buy at like Wings and those discount stores that would just break before your vacation was over, wanted to build something sturdier. And so this was the Bogg Bag, which has had insane growth, enough to land on the Inc. 5000 this past year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, what struck me about this is, and maybe I'm reading just into your writing a little bit, but it struck me that this product seemed manufactured for virality from its very start, from its shape, from its colors, from its price point.
I definitely think, too, especially the colors, the price point, and the placement. Because I think it was interesting because when this brand came around, it was really the height of the direct-to-consumer boom. But this company, Bogg, chose to go wholesale. And still 70% of its business is wholesale. And it didn't start in big retailers. It started in these local boutiques, the kind of places you would see those stores where they had Lily Pulitzer, Jack Rogers, high-end brands. So from the very start, Kim was positioning this brand as a higher-end product, even though it is plastic. But it's there in the stores in these bright colors. Pink was the first one they did. They have a lot of neon greens. And so it would be in these stores with these kind of Alice and Olivia, cutesy, preppy looks.
So the virality nature of it is because it was so exclusive, or the viral nature of it?
Yeah, because I think when you go to these local boutiques, somewhere you go on vacation each summer or in like your hometown, people think, I'm finally going to find this item that no one else has. That's not just at Zara and H&M and these big stores. And it became that. So it was almost like an offline IRL virality that then people started posting about it online, and really they were able to track the first time the company went viral was a Peloton's mom group, which was posting, I mean, these bags are giant, which is sort of funny, like the Stanley Quinter is humongous. These bags, they do come in different sizes.
It's almost like this stuff has to take up a lot of space in your real life to take up space in your mind, right?
It's very existential. And so they do have different sizes, but their original one, which is 60% of their sales, is pretty large. And so they would have these intricate videos of these women, and it's pretty much all women, packing and unpacking them. And they would have dividers and smaller bags and containers and cup holders with Stanleys.
They're my Amazon Sports Mom must-haves. I absolutely love my washable Bogg Bag and these cute charms. This waterproof picnic blanket with the carry strap is nice for lunch between games or letting little ones play. This tumbler is perfect for your morning coffee or hot beverages. And for those many hot afternoons, a Stanley tumbler and liquid IV so we can stay hydrated.
It's all just part of this same universe online. And after these Peloton moms did it, they saw it was Teachers was another big one. Think of all the things, especially like a teacher has to lug to school, that they would have all of their stuff. Nurses was another big category. And for some reason, I don't know what it says about us, people loved watching these videos of people perfectly packing little things nestled into this bag and then unpacking to show how much stuff they could pack.
Well, I mean, right? Our lives are chaos. Everyone wants a little sense of order.
When we come back, Ali takes us through the rise in popularity of Bogg bags. But first, a quick break.
When you run a small business, every decision matters, including who you bank with. At Chase for Business, we offer flexible solutions, from banking and payment acceptance to credit cards and local support, to help you go far. Whether you're just starting out or planning to scale up, we're here every step of the way. Check out chase.com/business to learn more about how Chase for Business is supporting small business owners just like you.
So when I was at the beach, I did see a Bogg bag, I can happily report. I also, in talking to Christine before the session, heard a really useful, I guess, utility for the Bogg bag is putting your groceries in it. Sorry, that's like a game changer right there.
Right. Even if you're just schlepping around. But it fits, it's got a square bottom too. So it just like sits up. It's a hard bottom. It like sits in your car. Ali said there's like making a tabletop for this. Is this on the record? I'm sorry. I didn't.
So this is in the works. Kim told me, the founder and CEO. So they're designing a tabletop. So next time you see the Bogg bag at the beach next summer, it's a top you can put on to put your sandwiches, your coffee, your drinks.
It's a tabletop for your Bogg bag.
Oh, yes. But people buy these things. I think this is why I described it as cult brand, because it almost felt just so irrational of how much things people were buying.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like the economy, it's not great right now. People are struggling to buy groceries, and yet $90 bags are selling like hotcakes. Like we were talking earlier about like how these brands become part of our identity, but like what did your reporting show anything there?
Yeah, it did. Because if you think about it, so Bogg, for their average customer, has for their bag 4 to 5 accessories for their bag that they're buying through them. So accessories for their accessories.
I thought the bag was the accessory. Right, accessories for accessories.
Yeah, and so they have like similar to Crocs has those gibbets you can put in the holes.
Oh yeah, my kids are obsessed.
Well, get them a Bogg bag because they have these charms you could put in. They have tassels. They have cup holders, coolers that are inserted. So half the bag is a cooler, half is not.
Mm-hmm.
And so on average, people have 4 of these. And similar, Kendra Scott, the company was telling me, when a new consumer finds them and may find them through these outfit of the day videos that these young sorority women are posting, they're buying an average of 4 pieces of jewelry with their first purchase. And this is not like, yes, it's not Cartier, but it's not a cheap brand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are necklaces that are $65, $95, $100, even $300. They're doing a lot more in that fine, demi-fine space. And so if you think about that checkout basket, if someone's ordering 4 to 5 pieces of that, a few $100s. And so that's what I thought was super interesting about like the why now of this story was at the same time, we're hearing from a lot of CEOs in the consumer discretionary space, all these bellwethers, the Starbucks, the Dollar General, the McDonald's, saying that, you know, people are really strapped for cash. We have seen inflation come down from those 40-year highs we saw in 2021, but the prices have stayed high. And people are fed up. They're fed up with that sticker shock. It's something economists have pointed out, the Federal Reserve has pointed out. So in that same environment, these fan bases for these cult brands, which are largely women, are buying big on expensive items and leading these companies to have double, triple-digit growth.
So what about other quote-unquote cult brands like the Yetis of the world? Are they experiencing the similar uptick?
I don't know about that with Yeti. It was not part of the reporting, but I'm not sure. I mean, Yeti's one of those ones that was part of the water bottle craze, but at the same time, I feel like they have a sort of a different consumer base that's always going back to them, which was more hunters, fishers, men, women. Fisher people.
Maybe they need a female-friendly redesign, huh?
They might.
That might be the key to recession-proofing your business,
Oh my
apparently.
gosh.
Because they had those high-end coolers, which I guess are really designed for folks that are doing things outdoors, where you had your marlin fish you caught that you need to bring back to shore.
You have to bear-proof your fish, obviously.
And I don't know if it's still a thing, but it definitely was for a while. I feel like when I was in college, it was a big ticket item people were asking for Christmas. I always thought it was kind of, why are you asking for a $500 cooler to just like put on your back porch? You're not doing anything that intense with this?
So I'd love to explore the idea of, like, how does a brand who's listening today, like, or a business owner who runs a brand, how do they try to adapt what we're hearing for their own businesses?
Who could master the art of the drop or the collab or like find that spark of virality?
It feels like this shows that any consumer product can really do that. I think the first step is figuring out what your hero marquee product is, because I think what this has shown with the collabs and the limited drops is even if you do a like color that people don't like or like a certain design or pattern, it still is a product that underlying is strong and it has product market fit. So you're going to probably sell through that even if people don't like that specific colorway. So I think it's having that hero product first, doing these limited edition versions that create that freshness, that FOMO. And I think also, too, what Kendra Scott is doing right now, which is really interesting, is they're designing more products and expanding to really grow up with their consumer. They're expanding into more demi-fine, fine jewelry. They now have engagement rings, wedding rings. And as their CEO, Tom, was telling me, he was like, the idea is that, maybe a young woman that discovered them in college with these sort of sorority colors, now she might buy herself a nice present with her first job or her first bonus. She could get her engagement ring there, her wedding band, her push present when she has kids, buy something for her kids. It'll become this brand that stays with you forever. And that's something, too, because I think these leaders are very conscious of, yes, that they have had this cult status for a number of years and kept that virality alive, but they know that it can go away at any second.
What about kids' jewelry? Are they is there like a children's line yet?
I don't know if there's like a children's sizing. I probably have to check online, but I guess you could do that.
Oh, my daughter had like a Kendra Scott thing when she was 7, I think.
Oh, really?
Fancy.
Okay. So that seems like the natural progression.
It's just go right back to the youth.
and what was interesting about that was, their CEO, Tom Nolan, telling me that they have this intergenerational approach where they want someone's daughter to like come home and tell her mom, her grandmother, like, oh, this is a cool brand, or buy them a gift. In reverse, wants, Christine to go out and buy it for her daughter, who then, when she has her own money, could buy it herself. That it really works both ways. And I think that's what's interesting, too, because these brands are so online and have really created this world around their brands, almost their own sense of vocabulary in universe. But at the same time, if you go on TikTok, if you go on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, it's not just Gen Z, Gen Alpha. That there are plenty of people that are Gen X on there.
I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you. I think it's all so fascinating. But as soon as Bogg Bags becomes, everybody has it, ubiquitous, right? It loses the novelty. It loses the I'm going to go get this for grandma. Grandma's going to get this for me, and I'm going to go share this with some so-and-so.
Wow, in Diana Ransom's America, everyone has a Bogg Bag. They've hit saturation.
I think the founders of Bogg would love to hear that.
Well, let's think about it. Where does it end?
Right.
I think one thing that's good to remember about these is back to this idea of there is no monoculture. These are very big in this sort of subculture that's mostly a female demographic. It's funny that like the Gen Z, Gen Alpha have labeled this as preppy on TikTok, which is not the preppy we may remember of like waspy, prep school, East Coast, Ralph Lauren. It's this idea of more athleisure, bright colors, Lululemon. And so it's all part of this world online. But at the same time, that's a subculture. So I think that there are ways for these brands to expand outside of that. This is like something I feel like Kendra Scott, CEO, was saying, yes, like if you're from the East Coast, if you're from the Southeast, do you think that how much can this brand grow? But he's like, if you go elsewhere in the country or internationally, he's like, we really only have 10% like brand recognition for the entire country. Most people don't know about them yet. And so they have to spread the word. And that's similar with Bogg Bag. They really grew out of the Southeast and all these local boutiques. From there, they went into larger wholesale partners, into Dillard's, if you're familiar.
Yeah, I know Dillard's.
And from there in Bass Pro Shop, So it's very big in the Southeast, trying to get more into the Northeast where they're based in New Jersey and just trying to expand to the rest of the country.
So they're not into the territory of selling out their hot Target drops yet.
Yeah,
like
not
Stanley.
yet.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of their colors, if you go online, there are more than 50 colors. A lot of them are not available.
And also, to answer my question, really, is that they could do a collab with another organization or another company that like caters to a different demographic entirely.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, especially if you think about it, they definitely have customers that have never like seen them on TikTok. Like in Dillard's, they have a collaboration with Southern Living, which is like something that like my mom got sent to our house when everyone still read print magazines. Everyone get a print magazine, subscribe at Inc. So I think about that demographic as probably very different, and they're probably trying to reach an older skew there than they are with their TikTok videos.
Interesting. We have to get Post Malone on this bag collab.
Ugh. I mean, he could put all of his gear for concerts in there, match the cross, like matching gibbets.
And he could put his drink on top of the little table on top of the Bogg Bag.
We'll send him a message. He was at the VMAs with Taylor Swift.
Oh, nice. So what is Terrence doing now?
So Terrence has a new job. He left Stanley earlier this year back in April and is actually back at Crocs. And he's now the president of Hey Dude, which Crocs bought a number of years ago. So it's a fully subsidiary of them. And if you're not familiar with this brand, I almost think of it as like a cross between a sneaker and do you remember like Clark's Wallabies? Was that a thing in your childhood?
No. Yeah. No, it's like a boat shoe.
It's more of a boot.
It's a boat boot. A boat boot?
There's kind of a slip-on, comfy shoe, and it's kind of like Stanley is much more of a male skew. Like that has typically been their
What do you mean,
audience.
like
Like more men are wearing it, and young men. I kind of feel like the people when I knew that had the brand, it's almost like the former fraternity boy who's in their 20s, and maybe now they're going to the craft brewery on the weekend. So it's like not quite hipster. Like it's not really a New York brand you'd see in Brooklyn, but like has been very big. I've seen in the Southeast, in Virginia. Like I know talking with our editorial assistant, Sydney, it's very big in Colorado as well.
So boat shoes, are they going to be the next thing?
I don't know if I would call this a boat shoe.
It's not a boat shoe, but it sort of looks,
I'm looking at it.
Boat shoe
looks
qualities.
Like it's boat shoe-esque.
And so it's interesting that Terrence is back there and back at a company that I think a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know, and has this male audience traditionally. And now I'm very curious to see what he does with this brand. Is it going to explode? I have been messaging him. We're trying to get the interview. Terrence, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the pod.
Please talk to us.
And so you can already see some things that he's doing with this strategy to get the brand out there. They've signed Sydney Sweeney as a brand ambassador and did this whole ad with her and talking about the comfort and like her wearing it on set. And, you know, she's one of the most in-demand actresses right now and has been in a number of movies this summer. It kind of feels like that same sort of viral nature that he's trying to tap into online and sort of send the message to female consumers that this product is for you as well.
Oh, that's great. That's funny. So they're trying to do the crossover.
Yeah.
Like, you're traditionally male, and now we've got Terrence. And we want women.
But at the same time, it's funny, too. I saw they also have done a collaboration, so back to the collab model with Nickelodeon. So they're doing SpongeBob versions. So I guess that would be more for, like, the kids. And then they also, interestingly enough, too, did something with Dave Portnoy of Barstool fame for his pizza YouTube show. And so on its face, I feel like those are three kind of random things that I don't know how they go together. Then again, I'm quite bad
at dudes. They want dudes.
I mean, I'm quite bad at New York Times connections games, so maybe there is an overlap that we don't see. Terrence will have to tell us.
I don't know. I mean, I think the Sydney Sweeney thing might not be marketing to women.
No.
It's a similar reaction.
It's just dudes. I guess we'll have to wait and see if he's able to bring that magic to the brand and the virality. But one thing that is interesting about that brand is when Crocs bought it, was already profitable. Like, even though it was a brand that a lot of people may not have heard of, it was really chugging along and doing well. And the founders had basically put no money into it, no money in advertising, and it turned a profit and just kind of taken over in like the Midwest and other places. Which, you know, I think
why do you say the Midwest like that?
The magical Midwest. And it's interesting, too, because I will say with Bogg Bag, too, another thing that I thought was fascinating was Kim, their founder, was telling me they did not pay for advertising until earlier this year.
Wow. Huh.
And that they made the Inc. 5000.
Yes. And this is their second time on the Inc. 5000.
Wow.
Last year, they made $53 million in revenue.
Wow. So they've had like at least 4 years of super fast growth.
Yes. And they've kept going. I mean, this year they're on track, they said, to hit more than 100 million by the end of the year. They've already sold more than 3 million of those bags in the first quarter alone.
They are topping the charts. This is what we are all paying attention to right now. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being on the program and telling us all about this wonderful story.
Yeah, thank you, Ali, for tracking the hits of Virality for us.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for this episode of From the Ground Up. If you want to read Ali's story on cult brands, you can find it on Inc.com.
Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. Also, if you like this episode or have suggestions of what topics you'd like to hear about, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or reach out to us on Inc's social channels on LinkedIn, X, or Instagram.
Or TikTok. From the Ground Up is produced by Julia Shu and Avery Miles. Editing by Blake Odom. Mix and sound design by Nicholas Torres. Our executive producer is Josh Christensen.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Olivia Rodrigo, I love you.
We are so skeptical as journalists that we don't like anything.
We don't like anything.
Yeah.
So that's our podcast.
No
it's about
obsessions.
not liking anything, or not only fans.
Not only fans. Not ever fans. Okay, we can edit.
We can delete that.